Welcome back to the podcast by the Order of the Lily and the Eagle.
I'm Larry.
And I'm Kevin.
So, Kevin, last time we talked a lot about the need to be normal. How would the Order look at that?
Well, that's a good question. What do you mean by happy?
Yes, that's a good place to start.
I'm asking you, what do you think happy is?
I think I'd answer that at different times of my life I've had different things that I thought would make me happy. When have I truly been happy? When I've been free, when I've been felt strong, felt in control of my life, learned new things. All of those things make me happy. Had people around me that I shared my life with, was happy,
Okay.
When I was alone, unhappy.
It is quite difficult to define, I think.
Absolutely.
So if we start from that and ask the question, okay, is it a thought or is it a feeling or is it a physical sensation? And the answer is yes, it's a bit of both.
Yeah, it's all of them.
As an adult, it's a bit of both. When I was younger, it would be perhaps more physical, running up a hill, jumping, screaming, shouting, or just pulling a daffodil out of a flower bed and walking around the garden, go, look, it's a daffodil. It's beautiful. So as a child, I had that within me to just discovery of nature. The physical was joyous. It made me, inverted commas, happy. So it's a feeling for something. And you often see children wandering around with that infectious joy that they carry with them. Okay, sometimes they can be miserable, but essentially it's a physical joy, a physical thrill. Then you've got the emotion that goes with that, the feeling of smiling, pleasure and what have you, and the thought, yeah, I like that. Yeah, that's good. So I often think about happiness, it's almost like recovering, going back to that state when you were young, where things were interesting, just to discover things. That pleasure in just being. Although when you're young, you don't have this sense of the being. You just are what you are. You just express yourself. So happiness, yes, in a sense, as you said earlier to me, it is being normal. That is the normal state. The abnormal state is when we've got all these burdens that have been placed on us by the environment, and we're not expressing that natural joy for life that we all have when we're young.
Yes.
And we end up being squashed one way or other into being something which is abnormal. We're not happy. We're always blocking ourselves and stopping ourselves from expressing who and what we are. So we did discuss about a type of management which is macro management, or whether you want to manage as you want to manage a team which is happy. So of course you can't wave a magic wand over the group of people and revert them back to when they were, young kids. So the question is, what is it in the work environment, for instance, that will help people to enjoy their work? Maybe not be necessarily joyous and totally happy, but for them it's a pleasure to be in work, rather than, oh God, I've got to go to work. You
mentioned about wanting to come to work, versus feeling, so-and-so
will be there and we'll have a chat about this and what, So by wanting to come to work, you end up with a group of people who want to help each other and they want to do a good job and they want to support each other. Now, this isn't inherent in just being happy, but it is part of the human condition that when you're in such an environment, a supportive environment, immediately you start feeling more happy or you're less stressed. You mention, so-and-so's birthday next week, and I can make a cake. I'll bring a cake in. And it's spontaneous. It isn't like the manager has to ask you, because the manager wouldn't ask you because they're more interested in whether you're on time at work. That's my metric. I've got to measure whether you're on time. That's micro management. And that's not what we're into. Look, if you're going to be late, let me know so at least I can handle the situation, because I've got to start organising you guys to do the work. So if you let me know and you're going to be 10 minutes late, that's fine. I'm not going to beat you over the head with a stick, right? So you start treating people with respect, and that's important. And I think we've discussed it before privately, that you've got to learn how to delegate to people and trust them, okay? You do the job, I trust you'll do the job properly, and okay, if you don't understand something, I'm here to support. So you call me over and say, I don't know what to do because X, Y, and Z. Okay, well, we deal with it this way. Shall we try this way? What do you think? Okay, let's do it this way. And then afterwards, you're basically training the person to become more confident. You're training them to say, now you can do it yourself. And I trust you to do it yourself. Once you've done it, you've made your decision, and as long as you can explain to me why you did it, just like I'm explaining to you why you're doing what you're doing, that's fine. I'll support you. I'll trust you. Right? And I won't feed you to the jackals of the higher managers. I will, stand by your side and say, no. This was the decision. I agree with that decision. It didn't work out as we expected, but that happens. And this is what we call lessons learnt. Right? So the whole style of management is now to allow the person to develop themselves with your support. So if you want, it's almost like an initiation in the workplace, but not formally, right? I'm teaching you how to do it. You go off and do it yourself. Okay, you make a mistake, and that's okay, as long as you learn from it and do it better the next time. But I'll support you. So it's a matter of trust, delegation, explaining to them what they need to do, and most important of all, which I believe is very important, do the essentials. Don't do a whole load of stuff that is not necessary. And very often what happens in work environments is somebody comes along and they put a layer of things that they want done. And then somebody else comes along later, and a new manager, and you end up with another layer of stuff that they want. And you just end up with all this irrelevant stuff that doesn't need to be done at all. So if you say to the people that you're working with, look, this is my team. I trust you all to do what you need to do, but let's only do the essentials, because we haven't got much time. We don't need the stress of writing lots of multiple things 55 different ways. Just strip it down to the essentials. And if you find something that we don't really need to do, we'll have a discussion as a group and we'll just get it down to the stuff that is essential, what's necessary. And before long, you'll find that these people will say, Cully, we're doing this stuff. We don't need to do it. Can we just get rid of it? So we'll discuss it. Yeah, we'll get rid of that. And you'll find that because they're being involved in their work environment, you trust them to suggest good ideas. You don't batter it down and just go, no, we're not doing that because I'm the manager. No. That would be like me as an initiator, as a guide, telling somebody, no, you do what I want. So in parallel, you start initiating people at work, but they don't know it's initiation. They think it's just this person's way of managing, Fred Blogg's management, which is Fred Blogg's is, he does it differently. And they like Fred Blogs because they trust me, and if I'm got a problem, they don't sort of give me a hard time. They sit me down, support me, and they tell me what should be done, what's essential, and not all the rubbish that all these other managers for the last 50 years have accumulated in the department, right? Because I don't know, in most businesses I've ever worked in, we're doing stuff that go back years and nobody can tell me why. And that's one of the key questions. Why are we doing that? And if you can get your team, the people that you work with, to wake up and say, look, why are we doing this? And you don't slap them down, and you mustn't do that. You say, oh, okay, I don't know. Well, let's see if we can find out. And if you can't find a reason why you're doing it, then don't do it. It's just the same with you within yourself. If you're doing something that you can't explain why you're doing it, then why are you doing it? And don't ask me for an example. I can't think of one offhand. But, there are some things that we do without thinking.
Maybe a lot of things.
Yeah, probably most of the things I do in my life. People say, what on earth are you doing that for? I say, well, let me get back to you on that. Because I was brought up with, I walk into a house and I automatically, if I've got a hat on, I'll automatically take the hat off. And if somebody, why are you doing that? I don't know. And I know why, actually. My mother taught me to do that out of politeness. Is it polite to take my hat off? I don't know. But I just do it. Do I think it forces me to do something that against my will? Let me think about it, study it, rip it apart, put it back together again and go, no, I'm okay, I'm good with that. I don't feel that I'm putting my personality on the line by just taking my hat off. But some things are more serious, I'm just automatically doing that. Anyway, to be happy, to help people to be happy, you've got to be happy yourself to begin with.
Yeah, I think that's an important point.
Or you have to have access to happiness.
You really have to start with yourself.
Yeah. And I was miserable, really wasn't a happy person at all. And I came to the order and I thought, well, you're a miserable person. So what are you going to do about it? And I thought about it, and I couldn't come to any conclusion. And then one day, this little voice sort of said, try and make a joke, at least one joke every day. Okay, I can do that. No, I couldn't. Because the first problem was, you have to find jokes in order to tell jokes. So what did I do? So I was mentioning it to my sister, and she sort of said, oh, I've got a joke book. I said, oh, thank God. Well, what is it? She said, oh, it's a joke book that my primary school kids, they've made a book of jokes so they can sell them to the parents to raise money for, I can't remember what it was. And I thought, really? And she gave me this sort of, it wasn't even a photocopy, it was a bander. And I don't know if anybody remembers a bander machine, but you use spirits. And I don't mean, ghosts. I mean, like methylated spirits on the paper, and you turn the handle, and somehow it would transfer onto a piece of paper. So it was like this blue lettering, So there I was looking at these jokes like, why did the chicken cross the road? And I turn it over to look what the answer, what the punchline was. And it was to get to the other side. Right. Now, kids at that age just found that hilarious. And I'm thinking, this is going to be hard work, telling a joke every day. So I tried doing that first day, second day. And then I thought, well, actually, the human condition is that we're always in difficult situations. And you can make a joke about the human condition in that situation, and you start making people laugh. So, for instance, you get people who get into a channel. They just get lost into, oh, we've got to do this, we've got to do that, no. And if you can find something that knocks them out of that channel and gets them to realise that they're being, they're getting too obsessed with the situation. By knocking them sideways, they suddenly, it changes them and they laugh. So I did it with my mother once when we'd come back from a funeral up on the side of a Welsh mountain. Good Baptists, very good Baptists. Oh yes, very good Baptists. The Welsh are very good Baptists. Did I say that the Baptist church in Wales, yes, they're very good. Anyway, we'd come back and I said, let's stop off and have something to eat so you don't have to cook when we get back. And so they're sitting there and they've been talking about the fact that the Welsh farmers, the sheep farmers, knew where my parents live because there was an abattoir there. And my parents knew very well that there was an abattoir in their town because you could smell it if the wind was in the right direction. So there was my mother in this
And
restaurant.
Abattoir is a slaughterhouse.
A slaughterhouse, yeah, a slaughterhouse. So they were the farmers were sending at least 5,000 sheep a week to be slaughtered before being sent over to France and Spain and what have you. So there we are in this restaurant surrounded by people at other tables, and my mother is getting into very heavy and very, she's very angry and what have you about, the slaughterhouse and what have you. So there's my sister sitting there just about half, putting some food in her mouth, and I just go, excuse me, do you really think talking about a slaughterhouse is appropriate in the restaurant? So my sister bursts out laughing, spraying food across the table, and my mother looks like a startled owl because I'd stopped her in her track. So there she was, going down. It was terrible. It's terrible. The smell. It's awful. I'm thinking, people are eating lamb, and they don't really want to know about the smell of. So I regained my laughter, which for me was my gateway into happiness. Mm-hmm. Because if I can laugh about it and put it into perspective, for me it's very humorous, and I find that amusing.
And that worked for you. How that's obviously not applicable to everyone.
No, everybody has to find what it is that will trigger that state of happiness. So it's not just, buy stuff that will make you happy, because some people think they can get happy just by buying stuff, and the answer is no, because I know what happens. I buy a car and I bring it home and I polish it and I make it lovely. It's nice, and I love my car. Look at my car, it's really beautiful. 2 weeks later, I don't care. I don't care about the car. So stuff does make you happy for a period, but not very long. That's not real happiness. That's just stuff, So the key is to find something that will actually internally, it doesn't matter what money you have, where you live, people that you know, nothing. You just within yourself are self-contained and have a smile inside of you.
And that must have something to do with coming closer to discovering your own individual personality and your own dissimilarity.
It's more than that, because you have to create your personality. So, do you want to be a miserable git who just goes moaning all the time, and that then becomes what you express to the world, and that in essence is your personality, misery? Or do you want to present something else to the world? It's your choice. If you want to be miserable, okay, be miserable. If you want to be aggressive, okay, be aggressive. That's your choice. I'm not going to tell you it's wrong. I'm just telling you what I feel is happy for me. I want to be happy because I've tried being miserable and it doesn't tick the boxes for me. So to find happiness is very personal, and of course that you're dead right. The first theorem is
everybody's different.
Everybody's different, and you have to find it for yourself. For me, the gateway was trying to tell a joke every day, because I was trying to think, how can I apply this for me? Now, you're dead right, it's not for everybody, because some comedians have been not necessarily the happiest bunnies in the world.
Yeah, for sure.
Their reaction to the misery of life is to try and make a joke about it. And sometimes the misery wins. I've no illusions about that. But whenever I find myself going down that dark passageway to unhappiness, this little voice will say, oh, come on, you don't want to go down there, do you? You've done that. You got the T-shirt. I've been miserable. Yeah, you've done that. You don't want to do that, do you? No, I don't. Okay. So break it. Get out of it. Do something. Usually, because I'm British, I'm very British, I go off and make myself a cup of tea. And I found that the action the physical action of doing something. Could be a walk, there are different things that break the habit. And I've noticed for me, and it may be true for other people, that some sort of physical movement, yes, dancing, movement, music, moving your body actually makes a difference to your state of being. But it's different for different people. You see old people when they reminisce, and people will come in and they'll start singing the old songs. And then you can get them up and you can get them moving to the old songs. And they'll have a smile on their face and they'll be, they're very happy.
Yeah.
So there's something about movement, there's something about music, there's something about breaking the habit. And of course it takes practice to be happy. But if you come back to the work environment, if you have a happy group of people working with you, it's amazing. It makes such a difference to you want to go to work. You want to do a good job. You don't have to be told to do a good job or be threatened to do a good job. They come to work and they'll be joking around. So yes, boss, no boss, 3 bag full boss. No, you don't have to call me boss. Yes, boss. And they're doing it on purpose because they're playing around with you. They're joking with you. Right? Because they know that you're not the person who will get offended. And that's a key to management. Don't get offended, because how many people get really upset and the manager doesn't calm things down. So many managers that I've come across, the good ones, are not there to cause problems. They're sort of saying, okay, calm down. What do I need to do to help you sort out this problem? What do I need to do to help you? And if you have that in mind when you're managing people, guess what? They calm down and they say, well, I need this, this and this. And the manager says, okay, leave it with me. I'll get that sorted for you. And the person is going, oh, okay. 1, they listen to me. 2, he's prepared to help me, or she is prepared to help me, and I can get it done. What I have to do. Oh, I can go home okay now. Instead of going home and giving my husband and all my children earache because they didn't listen to me. We're going to have a disaster at work. The end of the world is going to happen. No, you found somebody who calmed you down, made you smile because they said, I'm going to help you. And that is the interaction that we actually, with your children, with your partner.
I suppose as well, it's the interaction you have to create within yourself with the team of people that lives in you.
Yeah,
it's certainly true for me.
Yeah, how many people are in there, Larry?
In my case, quite a large number.
Yeah, I mean there's the happy one that nobody listens to. Then there's the misery one who seems to have quite a loud voice, and then you've got you've got all these different competing, and they're all trying to look after you in their own particular way. And they don't necessarily help.
It's very similar to a team of people. You try and question, of course, would be, who's the manager?
And that's the point, who's in charge? Very good question. And it's usually the one that is the loudest.
Usually, yeah.
And the loudest isn't necessarily the one who is the one you should be...
Doesn't necessarily lead to good results, however.
No. And yes, the one who's the misery, which was my main voice years ago. Oh, it's the end of the world. Eeyore in Winnie the Pooh. Eeyore is the one who's just, life is terrible. Yeah. It's your birthday today, says Winnie. Eeyore, is it? I was like that. Oh, it's the end of the world. No. So you've got to say, I know you think it's all pointless. I get it. So this is the higher voice, let's say, who's now sort of coaching the miserable one in you to say, okay, I know you're miserable, so what you need to do is, shall we go down to the riverbank and just have a look at what's going on down at the river? I won't enjoy it. Okay, you won't enjoy it, but okay, let's go down there. And eventually you talk to your soul, because these are what the voices down there. And you say, oh, that wasn't such a bad thing, was it? Well, I suppose so. Oh, okay, don't admit it. You might end up smiling Ooh, that wouldn't be right, would it? Smiling, and then it becomes like a little child who's going, oh, he's paying me attention. And that's what these different competing voices, you just give them the right attention. You say, okay, I know you're trying to look after me, but, I take your point. I accept that, what you're saying, and they just want to just feel that they're needed. And it's very often the case with certain people who feel in the team they're not being accepted in the way that they should be. So you have to talk to them, stroke their back and say, now you did a really good job there, and I'm going to give you a chocky biscuit to say thank you. Now luckily the girl that I've been helping with the management style, they have a thing called R&R. One of the R's is reward. I'm not sure what the other R is. Anyway, you can give the person...
Not the same as American R&R, which is rest and relaxation.
Yeah, no, it's reward and something. Anyway, doesn't really matter. Basically, you can say, here's a £5 voucher to go and get yourself a coffee because you did a good job. Recognition and reward. There you go. Anyway, so you're basically giving the person a chocky biscuit to say thank you for, you did a good job. And of course, it makes people very happy. Not very happy, but it makes them go, I was recognised for what I did and that I helped. And that's it.
Mm-hmm.
So all these things, you just have to think, what would make me feel happy because I did a really good job and nobody noticed? It would be really nice if somebody said, here you go, well done. And these things are very simple. They're not complicated. Or you can write down on a piece of paper, they didn't help, they were really awful, these people, and I've got to micromanage them all the time. I spent all my time micromanaging them and measuring when they came to work and when they did this and when they did that.
Yeah, that's an important point. Things are at root, and everybody wants to make it complicated, including ourselves.
Yeah, well, you all do it, yeah. So to strip it down to essentials, they all love that because they don't have to do all this ridiculous paperwork. Only the essentials. Somebody who's there to say, I think we need to just go over that again so you're aware of what the essentials are and make sure that you do that. Did you do that? Yeah, brilliant, excellent. Not because you're checking up on them, micromanagement, just saying we need these essential things done and you're happy. Okay. You trust them. You support them, you give them chocky biscuits when they do a good job, you don't give them a rollicking because they got it wrong. You say, okay, lessons learnt, we can now move on. And it's quite interesting, this girl basically says, now the people who are in a team will turn around to her and say, oh, well, that didn't go very well, did it? No, it didn't go. Never mind, lessons learnt, right? So that means they're not frightened anymore. They're prepared to learn and do it better, and that's what we need to do with all those voices that
going
inside.
On ourselves, yeah.
And you're basically saying,
very different.
You just say, okay, we've made a mistake again. Don't beat yourself up about it. It happens.
Spears. Oops,
yeah. Well, yes,
done it
my
again.
favourite philosopher, Britney Spears, one of her tracks is, whoops, I've gone and done it again. And okay, we make mistakes. That's it. We make mistakes, move on, learn from it, move on. And try and smile at yourself because it's the human condition to make mistakes. Nobody, and I mean nobody, is perfect. Nobody is perfect. And I hate it when people, oh, you're very wise. And I go, no. There's only one wise thing out there. And they say, what's that? Oh, tell me you're such a, no. The only wise thing out there is the creation, nature itself. I can go to the nature, I can go to the creation to get guidance. That's why you think I'm wise, because I'm going to the creation, the thing that we all live in. That's one of the real keys for initiation. But that is yet another story.
And that might be a good topic for the next one.
Or the one after that. Or the one after that. Because, again, we're trying to put the concept of the practicality of what we're doing.
Yes.
And it's not easy.
Because at the end of the day, it has to come back to that.
Yeah.
Or otherwise.
Yes, exactly. What's the point of it all? It's just words on pieces of paper. And until you actually put it into practice, it's just pieces of paper, and that for me was always, I was saying to George would say something. I said, well, George, if it doesn't help me pay the mortgage, because that's, that was my particular thing at that moment in time. That's a lot of money I've got to pay back. I'm not, does it matter what you're telling me? Because will it help me pay the mortgage? He said, yes, my dear, I think it will. Really? He said, well, you'll find out. He always had a way of just bringing it down to, well, just get on with it and you'll discover for yourself. And that is also a truth. We have to have a belief in ourselves enough to be able to do that. And you have to work at it, and eventually you suddenly realise, actually, it's not that complicated.
Yeah.
And because it's so simple, I think a lot of people walk away from the order because that's nothing, that's too simple. It is simple, but applying it is the bit that's difficult.
That it is.
And here we end before I kick off on yet another adventure of what do you mean by simple. Okay, so it's goodbye from me.
Goodbye from me.
Bye-bye. We'll see you anon.